Hey, cousins. What's going on? Hope everything is doing fine for you. Oh, goodness. Ain't nothing like two men arguing back and forth like two hot bitches. The girls are fighting. The girls are fighting. What am I talking about? I'm going to tell you. Swerve Strickland went to the opposition, spilling his guts, whining about child support and baby mothers and all that old shit. And in the process of all that, put his feet in his mouth one too many times. You see, AJ Francis had to go ahead on down to Adrian Hernandez podcast and clear up some things. But for those of you who aren't in the loop, let me go ahead and catch you up. So again, Swerve Strickland, who is so deep into the culture, took his ass to Vlad TV of all places. All these black folks with podcasts, and you went to Vlad. Okay, says a lot. Either way, Vlad asked him questions about Hit Row, what happened, and what made him basically end up in AEW. So Swerve said that Bruce Pritchard told him to go ahead and take control of Hit Row. This is what Swerve Strickland had to say that opened the whole can of worms. And I quote, "Next thing you know, one of the group members gets appendicitis. He can't wrestle. So now it's just left to me and the big guy to have these tag matches. Apparently, he upset somebody in the back somewhere, somehow. I'll never forget to this day. It was before the show, rehearsal and everything. We go over the segment. I come through the back, and Bruce Pritchard's just sitting by himself in gorilla position. He like, hey, Swerve. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you know, you're the veteran of this group, right? You've been doing this the longest. You have the most experience. I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, I take control. I was like, okay. 2 weeks later, we all get let go. That was the last time. Then all these reports coming about what happened, what possibly happened. And it was like speculative heat, major heat on one individual that caused everybody to get released and all that, which might have been true. Then I'm hearing from talents I'm close with, they're like, yeah, it's him. Yeah, it was him. I'm like, damn, then 90 days until I get hired and get a new job. Little bit of history. Fab, Ashanti, and Francis were hired back by WWE in 2022, and Francis ended up getting let go that following year. BFab is getting a push, a minimum, very small, minuscule push. And Ashanti the Donis is down there with Petrovic in NXT. I guess they like supposedly fucking. So there's that. Swerve Strickland is over in AEW, about to get his ass ate by John Moxley for the AEW title. Boom. Enter AJ Francis. AJ Francis is down to the podcast Adrian what's his name, Adrian Hernandez podcast. And basically, Adrian just straight up said it. There's some beef you got going on with Swerve Strickland. Like, what's happening? You want to talk about it? So he said a lot. Okay. Anytime somebody say this is what had happened, you already know it's about to go down. So basically, here's the highlights. Apparently, he said I was aggressive black man for standing up for a black woman, and I'll be that anytime, any day. AJ Francis said he was talking to Vince and them about why BFab got fired or didn't get a ticket. Excuse me, she didn't get a ticket to a show that they had to do. And he was trying to figure out what was going on. And then they find out she got fired. So he went back there basically trying to find out what's going on with his girl. Right? On his relationship with Strickland. This is what AJ Francis had to say. He said, I don't have no issues with Swerve. I just saw him on Sunday. It was all hunky-dory. They're in Las Vegas for a Chris Bay benefit. Remember Chris Bay? Very, very talented young man down in TNA. Took a bad fall and ended up being paralyzed. And now he's back on the mend and he's walking. So they had a benefit concert down to the Las Vegas. And that's what he was talking about while he was in Las Vegas. Anyway, he wanted to say, I just don't know where this shit coming from. He obviously did the interview before he saw me on Sunday at the Benefit for Bay. That was the first show we had been booked on together. in 4 years since WWE. Wasn't no problem, no issue. When I woke up today and saw people tagging me in Vlad interview, I was confused. I don't know where this static is coming from. I talk facts. Fact of the matter is, the first time I saw Swerve in 2 years was at Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight. We're in the same suite. As soon as he walked into the suite, I walked right up to him and said, "Yo, we good?" He was like, yeah, we good. I'm not really understanding where it's coming from. I was ready for the static and there was none. I'm not sure where this is coming from. I don't know why it even got brought up. Why are we talking about me on Vlad TV? What am I doing with anything you got going on? I made a point not to talk about Swerve. You will not find one person on this earth in hundreds of interviews I've done, millions of conversations that I've done with fans and others. You will not find one time where I brought Swerve up. They bring him up to me. Today, he was brought up to me. I want to make money, all the money in the world. Just leave me the fuck out of it. I got nothing to do with Swerve. If we're going to talk real, let's talk real. So, again, Adrian, the host of the podcast, just gave AJ Francis the mic. The reason why AJ Francis got brought up, well, he didn't bring him up. He was alluded to. Everybody know Hit Row. Everybody knows who the big guy is. So there you go. Okay. This happened in 2021, y'all. That's how long we in 2025. So it's about 3 years, 4 years now. Crazy how time flies. Anyway, on the situation around BFab's release, this is what AJ Francis had to say. He said the whole situation with BFab and her flight, we are not even telling the whole story. This is where what had happened had came out, and I said, oh, let me lean in because this motherfucker about to drop some jewels. So he went on to say, all of us was traveling to SmackDown, and randomly BFab's travel came off the app. And he was like, oh, it was a mistake. And I ended up like, call him and see what's up. So she was like, no, it's not a mistake. They saying I'm not needed for TV. He said, well, that's weird to me because we had just gotten drafted and she was an integral part of the whole joint. So AJ Francis said, I called John Laurinaitis and I offered to pay for her flight. I'm thinking this is the main roster. They ain't see what we were doing with Hit Row and NXT. To answer AJ Francis' question, they didn't give a fuck what y'all was doing, especially at that time, because they was breaking NXT down. Either way, AJ Francis wanted to say, maybe we coming up for a dark match and they thinking we saved money on the flight because we just need the guys, which they did another time in the European tour. Something happened with Montez and their passport was fucked or whatever. So them two came in, him and Ashante, and they went and did the little tag team jump. He said that kind of things happen. He said, I'm not thinking they don't need it for TV because we just doing a dark match. I was like, I'll get a flight. I just want to make sure she's there. He's like, John Laurinaitis was like, no, you don't need to get her a flight. I left the conversation being like, that's kind of weird. When she got released, that threw me the fuck off. I worked my ass off with BFab and Ashante for a year to create Hit Row behind the scenes at the Performance Center. Swerve didn't even join until 2 weeks before the debut. The reason why we were debuting is because I, a person who didn't need wrestling to make myself a star, unlike somebody else that keeps my name in their mouth, I was already hosting WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. That show came out and was a hit, and still the most watched thing they ever done on A&E. They were like, we need this guy on TV. Triple Thumbs came to me, what do you think about putting Swerve in your crew? At the time, I was like, I don't give a fuck because he been on TV, so that looks good for us. So, we got a TV vet, and then we can come in and do what we got to do. He said, we just going to make this shit work. So, the matter that matters in wrestling, that the guy has like some TV under his belt. So AJ Francis went on to say he had never done no hip hop as no character. And that's true. That's true. And that's fascinating. Because what is Swerve Strickland doing now? Leaning all into that hip hop when it's fucking convenient. Anyway, AJ Francis went on to say, I came to WWE with Hit Row idea and was already doing it in the indies. I added Ashante and BFab because she a rapper and a beautiful woman. He is a great wrestler and we're going to be a tag team. Ashante, he's talking about. He said, I produce, engineer, everything anyway. Well, we'll just say Ashante's the producer and this is how Hit Row was created. 2 weeks before the debut, they wanted to put Swerve in the crew and we were cool with that. We had no problem with that. Fuck yeah, let's do it, whatever. Fastest call up ever. That's me cooking. That's me. Let's be for real. Nobody ever wrote a promo for me in my career. Okay, I know what I did to make Hit Row pop. I know I was in the kitchen and we were having group meetings in the house. I know we recorded the song in my house. I know who wrote the hook. I know who structured the song. I know who did all that shit. So do they. If I'm the bad guy, somebody asks Vlad to ask Swerve why Ashante and BFab don't talk to him. Since I'm the bad guy, why is that? Then he went on, if you go look at the podcast, he pulled the phone up, showed Adrian the text messages, because he said they in the group chat and they trying to figure out why this motherfucker talking about some old shit and don't nobody got nothing to do with him. And Adrian was like, yeah, that's what they talking about. I'm reading it, whoop de whoop de whoop. So he went on to say the aggressive part is actually pretty sad, because he basically saying that he has to walk a certain way, move a certain way, because when he was younger, him and his dad got pulled over and they were misprofiled, talking about there was a robbery and they thought it was them two or whatever the case may be. He was like, I have to wear, he said he wears a hockey jersey around white folks so they could be calm, because he know he a big black dude and everybody be scared of him. And he basically saying how hard it is to be functioning in the world as a black dude, and what he don't like is somebody calling him aggressive. He said, white people ain't scared of a brother in a hockey jersey. They're actually willing to talk to you. He said, I know what happens when I go places. I know how people stare at me. I know how people stutter when the elevator door opens and I'm standing right there. I know that this is what that's like. I go out my way not to be that way. When I talk to people, I keep my hands behind my back so I seem less threatening. I do that shit consciously. No, at no point did I get aggressive with anybody. Come on, man. First of all, that's sad as fuck. Secondly, that I can comfortably say that's a lot of black men's experiences in the world. If you know history, you know where black people started, how black people are portrayed in the news, things like the perp walk and all that type of shit, all goes back to the demonization of the black man. It just is what it is. Okay? Um, what else we got? Then he went on to explain and basically call out Swerve Strickland. He essentially said Swerve Strickland ain't that dude. He ain't in the field. He ain't in the trenches. He don't go and work with the community. He don't do none of that shit. All he do is come and use the culture when it's necessary. That's it. He said, and I quote, AJ Francis said about BFab, he said, I'm supposed to be cool with her being gone. Clearly she back and doing everything, so clearly I was fucking right. I said that, and I'm supposed to leave the asshole. Stand on it. If you are the person that said I was aggressive, stand on it. I got a good couple ideas that I know who the people was. If it is exactly who I think it is, which I think it is, I got some shit to say about them too. Stand on it. You got something to say about me or anything I've done, stand on it. Say it with your whole chest. He basically said, I'm not standing around and watching somebody I work with who I know is good and who putting all they work in get kicked in the ass. And I'm just standing there like, well, we got to make this money. He said he's not built like that. He's not that type of dude. He essentially said, Swerve that type of nigga. And he ain't no corny motherfucker. Swerve is the corny motherfucker. Okay? AJ Francis said, I was on TV for 10 years before I took my first bump. I made my first million before I was 25. What the fuck I got to do to prove to you people that you're not in my league, literally? And that's it. I don't know what Swerve going to say. Is Swerve going to brush it off? Swerve, this is why people don't go on Vlad TV. But I will say, Hit Row is just as much a part of AJ Francis's experience and history as it is Swerve Strickland's experience and history. So what Swerve Strickland's experience is going to be is polar opposite of AJ Francis. It's a lot of things that's lining up, but the story is AJ was aggressive. AJ said, don't put that shit on him. He was not aggressive. AJ said he was standing up for BFab and that he is the one that got the whole Hit Row shit going. Swerve Strickland said that Bruce Pritchard told him, you need to go ahead and get that whole group together and move forward, whether whoever's there or not. And Swerve was like, cool. So essentially, the stories do line up. It's a little discrepancies here and there, but at the end of the day, If I had to pick a side, I'm gonna go ahead on AJ Francis' side, just on GP, because fuck Swerve. Like, that's just what it was. It's always been fuck Swerve. It's fuck all of them weird ass motherfuckers who only use the culture to make some money and push it, and they not in the culture. I've been looking at Swerve for a minute. Already knew something was off with his ass, and it is what it is. Take them goals out your mouth and be yourself. Comb your put your dreads to the side and sing that emo shit with your black eyeliner like you was doing before. It's cool. It's all good. There's emo black dudes. There's nothing wrong with that. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this in the comments, and I'll check you on the next one.